All right. Okay. And we start again. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Nice seeing you all here. We are here with our Freedom Tea Talks. We started this literally a little over a year ago. So maybe about November, possibly October. We started doing Freedom Tea Talks, and initially it started on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We were showcasing and broadcasting at that time. On Tuesdays, it would just be content from myself. And on Thursdays, we would leave that open. And I decided that that would be a good space to invite visitors to come on and chat with us. Over the course of time and reevaluating what we have the capacity for, what's still going on. Hey, I see you on IG. What made the most sense time-wise, because if you aren't paying attention to what works for you and your time and how that looks, you will find yourself in a space of being burnt all the way out. So in wanting to bring this space or have this opportunity to be able to talk with you guys, connect, kind of like free for all, you all get to be a part of the live experience of recording the podcast, as well as bringing up more ideas and topics and things along those lines. Scheduling stuff for approximately 52 weeks and planning to do it twice a week, which puts us at, what is that, 104? Just a little quick mathy math here. Can you imagine what it takes to consistently keep showing up in that way, in that format, and wanting to be also the best version of yourself? This past summit that concluded last week, and the replays are totally available, I met with, I think it was like 10 to 12 amazing women who are all business owners and like providing services to the world. They are giving in some form or fashion, some in a space of health, some in a space of helping folks that help folks get their stories, their messages out there, some helping directly couples in regards to what their sexual or intimate relationships look like, as well as yoga instructors, folks that are just embracing on different aspects, such as therapy. So other therapists, such as myself, and looking at how they were able to move into spaces of this year in particular, noticing how they've been showing up, choosing to show up for themselves first so that they can come and be in a position or place to give 100% to the people that they're here for, where they can show up and in their businesses, in their families, in their friendships, in their time with themselves and how they care for themselves, that they were pouring into them in a way that allowed them to show up this past year. If you've seen any of them, in the most phenomenal way ever. One of the beauties that I like really appreciate and humbly thank every single woman that showed up is that they were willing to come and share a piece of themselves, despite all the work they do and they already give away for free for, paid services, that exchange of energetic reciprocity of, I pay you this money, you provide me this service, I get to be a better version of me and walk away, that they were willing to show up and come give some of their time to share what it looks like behind the scenes. Like how do they as individuals, as people show up? How do they take care of themselves? What are some of the lessons or things that if they knew, if they had the opportunity to know before they knew, they would have totally embraced and started doing for themselves, as well as given permission to other folks to be able to do the same. So they came, they shared. I could absolutely go through and list every single person's name and like where you can find them at and what that looks like. But the thing is, I know that you have access to all of that. And since we are all pretty resourceful people, I strongly, highly encourage you to go back and check out what they offered in the summit in 2 days. And I definitely chose to add a third day to share a little more for myself, because energetically, after coming back from being at a really, really intense conference, and intense in the sense that there was so much great information and good energy, and it becomes overwhelming to maintain such a heightened state of like, oh my gosh, this is the best ever. And I don't know if any of you all ever realized this, but just imagine those times when historically you have maybe gone to an amusement park or went to your favorite concert, or were doing an activity that you just love to do so much. Imagine trying to do that for about 3 days straight, for about 12 to 14 hours, and also having all the downloads of what that felt like and trying to capture everything, connect with other people, and still figure out, okay, and then what about me and all of that. And then choosing by accident, not totally by design, to host a summit and still want to show up in the best version of you. Ultimately, that is the behind the scenes what happened for me. I was like, okay, we're doing this because I wanted to make sure that by the time we got to here in this point of the month, of the year, that we weren't pushing anything major, that we weren't, and even as my team, that we could start to slow down so we can prepare for next year. So looking at how do you go about doing what you do and why, giving ourselves the opportunity to share one last, for lack of better words, major experience that people can totally gain so much value from. So again, before we take down all those like pinned posts of all those amazing speakers, absolutely go catch the replay. And some people may say, oh my gosh, it's Christmas time. I don't want to spend my money there to invest in myself to hear how other amazing women were able to balance and get, not even balance, integrate and create harmony in the way that they go about taking care of themselves and all the people that they love, care about, depend on, and still show up and provide services in their businesses or in other areas of life that are just as demanding. I don't have what it takes to listen to that or take any of their tips or snippets of information or knowledge. If that's you and you do feel like you don't have time for it, you're probably the person I'm speaking to, but there's clearly a mindset shift that needs to happen. And this is kind of the component of the invitation that I'm inviting you all to, is that when people are offering you great or amazing stuff and you don't take it upon yourself to take advantage of it, this is why a lot of people don't do free things anymore, because when people get stuff for free, they don't usually tend to have the same level of investment. They don't have as much skin in the game. They're not as willing to participate and actually go full out because there wasn't anything that they potentially could lose by not doing it. So one of the observations is these amazing speakers came out, and Dion is actually on our IG Live right now, came out and showed out and shared what they had, what they do to make themselves great and amazing, that makes people attracted to them in the first place so that they can offer services. But then going above and beyond that, like, okay, vulnerably, when I didn't listen to myself or my body or whatever the places were where people weren't paying attention, that they got the answers. We're not going to be great today because we didn't do the great things to take care of ourselves. When those mindset shifts started to happen, and okay, so I can't just keep giving from an empty cup. I do have to actually take time for myself. I have to designate that I'm only available for these things in this way, and creating boundaries. Those scary things, but creating boundaries in space and telling people it's going to be a no for me. I'm not participating. I'm not interested, and being comfortable with everything isn't always for you, but taking care of yourself can't really be a negotiable thing. If you want to be great, if you want to be sucky, by all means, do you. But I'm only speaking to the people that recognize they're already kind of amazing, and periodically you remember. And I'd love for you to be able to, the invitation is to notice it all the time, to notice that you're always great and your greatest version of you will look different every single day. The best way to have you move into a space of being you're 100% feeling more consistent instead of having those ups and downs of like a roller coaster ride looks like how you create boundaries, how you create routines, how you take care of you so that it can be more consistent. So the invitation to greatness, to be a greater version of yourself, starts with what are you willing to do for you? How are you going to show up for you so that you give yourself the best version? Who do you need to say no to so the yes can be like a hell yes instead of like, well, I don't know, that's what people say, like whatever the thing is. Literally at this point in time, I am actually processing a lot of different decisions that I do need to make within less than 24 hours. But the benefit and beauty of that is giving yourself that space and time to hear from other people that you admire, respect, maybe look up to, or just, You just recognize they're a pretty awesome person. Being able to take that information in, hear it, let it settle with you, and then still go ahead and go through the process of making decisions from your own space, from what you need in this moment, and being comfortable and clear that while there could be great info out there, and that person might be killing it doing it this particular way, the way you may need to go about doing it will look different. The way that's going to serve you at this point in your life will be different. And it's okay. It's okay to explore how you want to be great. It's okay to take that break to look at, maybe I should check out, what are some other folks in my industry doing? What are people in similar positions that I'm in? How are they taking care of themselves? How are they setting up businesses? Are there masterminds, or are there like trainings that could be supportive? But giving yourself that permission to go ahead and look at, what do you need for right now? And then seeking support for it. Seeking who has access to it, who's in your network that might even be able to already point you in a direction that you need to go to. Noticing, again, just looking at the awesomeness of all the speakers from the summit and having the opportunity to either build on already lifelong relationships that we've already had, myself and the individuals, and or the creation of them, even if it's virtual. Having that space and opportunity came from not being scared to reach out. It came from being comfortable with, I'm going to do something different and scary, and fingers crossed, like I don't mess stuff up or ruin something, but it required me to go through the chatter that was in my head. It required me to be comfortable to reach out and be willing to embrace a no. To be fair, there are several speakers that I have reached out to, and they've said no the first time. They may have even said no the second time. They may have said no the first and then not the second, or they may have said yes every single time. And the thing is, all of those things were perfect and right, because it was right for them. And it also allowed me to have the same experience of them being in the right place. So someone else's no to you or your offer or what you're putting out there doesn't mean that it doesn't have to mean anything unless you choose to allow it to mean something. So in your invitation to this greatness, looking at the summit and see, again, like the women were so freaking amazing. And I'm just going to keep saying that because that is the best way that I can attempt to show my gratitude for how awesome they were, how much I appreciate and admire them for being willing to just genuinely show up. And I'm absolutely going to hold back the tears because I'm not interested in walking in that aspect of my feminine energy in this moment. But I definitely want to make sure that I am pouring out the gratitude and the love and the care that I received from them, just from them showing up, that I received from them even when they weren't able to show up for whatever the reasons. We're all interconnected, and it all works together for what's going to be the greatest version of ourselves. So yes, Dion, like it moves my heart. I'm gonna do better with my skin and water and all the things after I drink my coffee, of course. Anywho, that's from IG for all you folks on the other platforms. They're like, what is she talking about? I say this to say that if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to the beautiful, awesome people that showed up on this summit or even the last one, this is your invitation. Go ahead, check it out, do that, as well as just check out their snippets. Even their snippets are given so much fire that if you take that and that's all you can hold, then great. My invitation to you is be okay with exploring new things about you and understanding that maybe something isn't for this moment. It might be for later. It might be for a different time. It may be a never, but at least you can still honor and respect what was being offered. Last weekend, I offered an invitation to greatness, just a quick workshop that fortunately I was able to keep it down to a shorter amount of time, surprised myself at how effective I could be. But I left it very open and gave myself the space and permission to share what was available and looking at how can we kind of finite and clarify some of these things to close out this year, as well as start planning for next year and being okay with it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a little messy because life is not literally black and white. Like Like there's gray, as you can see in my sweater. There's different ways to go about doing it, and it can change and shift as you need it to. I did decide I will be offering this Saturday and maybe even next Saturday another opportunity for folks to come and go through that process with me and just take what I gained from the last one and just pour it into this next one. And of course, your questions and comments will definitely help make it even better. So if you are interested, it'll be free because next year it's going to look a little different. So I almost want to say, take advantage of what can be taken advantage of while it's being offered, because things do change. People change, directions change, and why not give yourself the opportunity to grasp onto something that maybe you're interested in now, and next year, if that changes, that's cool. But let's be great today. Let's be great tomorrow and for our future, and be okay with the version of our greatness today is what it is. We have the opportunity to make it as great as it can be. But for this moment, the gratitude in, all right, I'm awake, I'm alive, I have the capacity to choose to do something. What will I choose for today? Who will I be? How will I show up? Where do I want to do that at? And what would it look like? As I take a couple of sips of my coffee here, I'm just wondering, feel free to share. If you don't want to share publicly, shoot us a little DM or something. But what would be something that you can choose literally just for today? So whenever you're hearing this, just for today, what can you choose to be great about? Allow it to be great. Maybe it's someone else helping you. Maybe it is helping someone else. Maybe it is choosing not to speak and just be in silence. Maybe it's going out and being with everybody you know, but what level of greatness would you like to choose for today? What one thing can you give yourself permission to do, say, experience, receive, give, like all the things that, just saying, unleashing that CEO, that feminine CEO of ourselves. Like, what would it look like if we gave ourselves permission for that? Good morning, Dashe. Which I believe I need to reach out to you anyways. What one thing, if you can give yourself permission to receive your own greatness, what would it look like for today? What does that get to be? How do you get to show up? Who gets to receive the benefits of it? And maybe it's just you. What would you like to take away for your invitation to greatness for today? And how can you carry it into the next couple of days? If you're not totally sure, like I said, you have an opportunity to check me out this weekend. Come drop by, the workshop. I'll be there. So, like, if it's just me, guess what? It'll be just me. Like, if it's 50 people, then guess what? We're going to have a whole freaking party with all 50 of us. If it's thousands of people, the same thing. I'm going to be here. We're going to hold the space. We're going to look at what invitations to greatness do we want to take in, and how can we do that intentionally and strategically by that integration of our feminine and masculine energy, and then what it is we need for this season and this moment in our lives. I love it. Deanna, you said, I'm totally chilling at home instead of meeting up with people socially. Yes. Dashe, surrendering to the process. I'm here for all of that. It doesn't have to be a massive production. It can be the absence of such. If everything's always a massive production for you, what's it look like to not have one? To be on sabbatical, to be on a break. Give yourself that space and notice, what are you in need of? Maybe it's to be hugged and around everyone, or maybe it is to be absolutely, utterly alone. So you can re-stabilize. What do I even think, want, and feel at this point in time? Well, I hope y'all have an amazing day. And by the time you're hearing this, pending where it's at in the year or your life, the weekends coming up, the next two, like I said, I'll be on a nice little workshop. You do have to sign up for it. And we'll be going through how you can choose your greatness, your invitation to greatness for the end of this year into next year, and those different areas that we can look at to make that happen. So I will be seeing you there. Have an amazing day, people. And I see y'all next week or this weekend. It's all possible.